Hello and welcome to the Inner Game of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we're going to be talking about the idea of fear of visibility through a slightly different lens. Now, today's episode is short and it comes from an Instagram Live. So if you are watching this on YouTube and the video looks a little bit different during the meat of the episode, that's why. And if you're listening to it on the podcast, it won't really make a difference for you. The reason I want to share this episode right now is that this topic is coming up a lot with my private clients, inside Powerhouse Mastermind, with my friends. It's this idea that when you just speak your fundamental brand message, the philosophy of your work, that people are going to be mad at you and you're going to ruffle feathers. And that feels really vulnerable and really difficult. A lot of my clients have what would be traditionally called in the 12 brand archetypes, a rebel brand identity. If you're not familiar with the brand archetypes, you can just Google brand archetypes. Kay Putnam has a lovely brand archetype quiz. Captolia has a lovely brand archetype quiz. You can go and take some quizzes online and figure out what your brand archetypes are. But a lot of my clients have a rebel brand archetype. I have a rebel brand archetype. And what it means when you have a rebel brand archetype is that fundamentally the way you do your work or your approach to your topic, your niche, your industry is about disrupting the status quo. And it's really challenging to disrupt the status quo and have everyone like you. You can't walk into a room, into an industry, into an event and say, hey, the way that everyone does everything is wrong and my way is better. Follow me, and expect everyone to be happy about that. There will be some people who are very happy about it. The people who have been feeling the way you feel, the people who also feel dissatisfied with the status quo, the people who feel like the status quo does not represent them, the people who feel marginalized or unheard or unable to be served by the status quo will be so excited that you're there. But everyone who's really invested in maintaining the status quo is not going to like it. I think of it sometimes like people who don't want student loans to be forgiven because they've paid their student loans off, people who need everything to stay the same, people who want to continue a culture of hazing because they got hazed when they started, people who think that, corporate should be really, really difficult and you should have to fight and pay your dues because they did it. So for those people, they need their suffering to make sense. They need everyone to go through what they went through in order to justify that they went through it. Because if they were to really make space for the idea that they didn't have to go through all that and they could have done things differently, then a lot of their life doesn't make sense. Their values will be challenged, right? It's like really hard for people who are really entrenched in needing to uphold the status quo to be happy for you when you come on the scene and say, I want to tear the status quo down because it doesn't work. And my clients tend to be those people, obviously, because I'm that person, right? I come out and say, you can make a beautiful living being an artist, a creative, or a healer. I come out and say, you can be a spiritual practitioner and have $1 million business. You can have a really successful business and work part-time hours. There are a lot of people who love that and they say, I'm all in for that. Show me how. And then there are a lot of people who are very angry about that. And to me, that's strange. I'm like, imagine hating me and I'm at home plotting on a better world for you and wanting you to be happy and make more money and work less and not trade your body to wage slavery. But okay, you're mad at me. I get insane comments. I get comments from people who are like, good luck making a living off of art, you dumb bitch. Like, people get mad when I share my fundamental philosophy that artists, creatives, and healers deserve to be well compensated for their work and that it's possible for them. Going online and saying it's possible for you to be a spiritual practitioner and a millionaire is going to really upset people who are deeply invested in the idea that the only way to be spiritual is to reject money and to see money as evil. It's going to be really hard for them to allow in the idea that it is not antithetical to being a spiritual practitioner, a spiritual person, a person with a healing and helping mission, and be well-resourced financially. There are a lot of people who love that message, and there are a lot of people who find it incendiary. And in order for me to comfortably get up here on the internet and just say, this is what I think and feel, and this is what I believe, I have to be comfortable with you potentially hating me and thinking I'm stupid and thinking I'm wrong and making mean comments on my page. And that used to be so hard for me. It used to be deeply and profoundly difficult for me. And for a long time, I used the language fear of visibility to describe what was happening. But since I have decided that that is inaccurate for my particular experience, and it's possible that it's inaccurate for yours as well. Because what I was going through wasn't really fear of being visible. For one thing, I love being visible. I actually really like attention. I am a stage performer, and I have been since I was a child. I used to think growing up that I was going to be on Broadway when I grew up. Honestly, the only reason I did not pursue that is because I realized as an adult I would have to live in New York, and I don't want to live in New York. Sorry, I'm a California baby. But all growing up, I thought I was going to be a Broadway star. Like, attention is my jam. I live for the applause, applause, applause. So if it wasn't fear of visibility, what is it? I am a recovered codependent enabler. And what was really happening as a codependent was that I was outsourcing my safety to strangers. I needed other people to be happy with me. I needed other people to approve of me. I needed other people to think I was good in order for me to feel safe. And in this episode, what I'm going to get into is that shift in framework from no longer thinking of yourself as being a people pleaser with fear of visibility and into understanding that it's possible that you are a recovering codependent or just currently a codependent and you're enabling strangers, bad behavior on the internet. And when we shift frameworks like this, the reason I like to hone in on the subtlety of these kinds of details is because it allows us to address and fix the right problem. Because if you are focused on fear of visibility and people pleasing, but that's not actually your problem, you can do a whole bunch of work that doesn't actually move the needle toward you feeling safer and more comfortable to speak your biggest, boldest, loudest truth in the world. When we understand exactly what the problem is, we're able to fix it accurately and clean it up much more quickly. So that is my goal here in sharing this. And if it rings true for you, then you don't have to work on fear of visibility and you don't have to work on people pleasing. You get to work on boundaries, intellectual and emotional boundaries. And this is the type of work that I do with my clients. Before I drop into the meat of this episode, I want to invite you to come to Scaling Simplified for Creative Baddie CEOs on Tuesday, May 12th. If you're listening to this episode the day that it's dropping, it's tomorrow morning, May 12th from 10 a.m. till noon. I will be dropping the link in the show notes, but you can sign yourself up at intuitiveedgecoaching.com/simplified. And at this event, I am going to be talking a little bit more deeply about how I work with my clients on this type of deep inner work that really allows them to finally move through the nervous system, mind, body, spirit level blocks that have been holding them back from taking the actions they need to take to scale their business. I'm also going to be talking about the business strategy, the lean, simplified business architecture required to scale a business. It's absolutely free. And again, you can sign up at intuitiveedgecoaching.com/simplified. Let's get into the episode.
I would like, if I may, you may not, sorry, Rocky Horror. Let me try again. I would like to place upon your altar that you are not a people pleaser and you don't struggle with fear of visibility. You're a codependent and you're enabling strangers. What? Okay, let me cook. If you're new to me, my name is Sarah. I'm a scaling strategist for soul-centered CEOs. I'm also a recovered codependent and fantasy love addict. I have a lot of lore and I've lived a lot of life, and I don't always talk about all of it on this app because it's not really relevant to my business, but this is an area where I am uniquely qualified and have a distinct perspective. So Let's talk definitions first. I have a unique definition of codependency, but I think it's the most accurate one you will find. Codependency is trying to regulate your nervous system using someone else's body. At some point along the way in your early life, you learned that you cannot be safe if other people are mad or sad, that your safety depends on other people's emotions, thoughts, behaviors. So you learned the best way to keep yourself safe is to try to control dad's anger, to try to control mom's depression. Now, I want to say that codependence is a completely logical conclusion of any upbringing that includes alcoholism, addiction, abuse, or abandonment. As an elder millennial, this is pretty much every adult I've ever met. So there's nothing wrong with you. This is just what happens when you grow up in an emotional environment where your caretakers, the people you are literally dependent on for survival, are volatile. You don't learn healthy boundaries. You don't really know where you end and other people begin. You know that what makes you safe is that other people are okay. So you oriented your entire life around making sure that other people are okay so that you can be safe. Now let's talk about enabling. Enabling is about who in a relationship endures consequences. So in a relationship with an abuser, you lie for them. You cover up their bad behavior so that they don't get in trouble. If you're in a relationship with an alcoholic, you're calling in sick for work for them. You are lying for them. You are getting in the driver's seat in a car accident and taking the hit on your insurance, whatever the accident, because you don't want them to get a DUI. You're the person enduring the consequences in the relationship. You're also enduring the consequences of money, physical pain, emotional agony, spending a ton of time, effort, energy, thinking through things and doing a bunch of inner work about how you can be better for them, how you can make things okay for them. And you're telling yourself, well, I'm the strong one. I'm the healthy one. I have to do this for them because they're ill, because they're struggling, because they had a hard childhood. You're doing all this work and spending all of this time and all of your resources to rationalize to yourself why you should be the person in the relationship who endures all of the consequences of two people's behavior while they skip through life doing really whatever the they want, and they ain't thinking about you. Now, if you were to stop, they would turn on you. They would say, you're terrible. You're abandoning me. I can't believe that you would do this to me. You're a terrible person. And that is the consequence that you want to avoid. And that is why you keep enabling. So now let's bring this back into your business, beloved. There is a strong possibility that you won't let yourself have the life you want to have the business you want to have the level of success you want to have, say the things that you want to say, sell the things you want to sell, put your prices where you want to put them, because you are telling yourself that you will not be safe if other people are mad at you, if other people judge you, if other people look at you and say, you sold out, right? Especially leftist purity culture, you sold out, you forgot where you came from, you lost your values, you're terrible. How can you have so much when there are other people who don't have as much as you have? How can you go and share your opinions that loudly and that visibly? How can you take up that much space? You feel unsafe in your body if other people think, feel, or behave in negative ways about you or toward you. So you are enduring the consequences of not having the life you want to have, not having the revenue that you want to have, not making the impact you want to make, not being expressed the way you want to be expressed in the world so that other people can skip through life thinking, feeling, and saying negative things about strangers on the internet. And maybe not even strangers. Maybe these are people close to you, people you actually know. And you're afraid that if you were to do, be, have the things you really want to do, be, have in the world, that they would leave you, that they would be mad at you, that they would judge you. And so you've decided, I'm the strong one. I can endure a life of disappointment and sadness so that they never have to be uncomfortable, because you have forgotten where you end and other people began. And because you don't have intellectual boundaries. Boundaries are the hardest thing for a codependent, right? Because if I believe that I'm only safe if I can control how you think, feel, and behave, then I really don't know where my body ends and your body begins. I don't know how to allow sovereignty between beings on the planet. Intellectual boundaries means you're allowed to think anything you want without my interference. One of the hallmarks of codependency is feeling like you need to convince other people of things in order to make yourself safe, that you need to be understood, that if you just understood me, if you could just understand where I'm coming from, if you could just see my intentions, then you would see that I'm really a good person, and then you wouldn't be upset, and then I would be safe, right? So now I'm locked in this loop of trying to convince you that I'm good so that you will approve of me so that I can create safety. safety for myself, rather than understanding that I create safety for myself and that you as a sovereign adult being are allowed to think anything you want. And I don't need to go up into your mental space and try to brainwash you, manipulate you, change your thoughts. We don't think we're being manipulative. Codependents are very manipulative. It's really hard for us to accept that about ourselves, but we are in fact manipulating situations because we're modifying our behavior and the things we say to try to make other people think and feel things, which is mostly that we're good. So here I am enduring all of these consequences in my life, not having the life I want, constantly being disappointed, not ever hitting my goals, because I'm spending so much time, effort, energy thinking about what I think other people are gonna think and trying to modify my behavior so that I can make sure that no one ever thinks a bad thought about me or feels a negative feeling about me or says something bad in my comment section, rather than saying other people are allowed to do whatever they want without my interference, and they can think anything they want, including that I'm the worst, including that I'm an idiot, including that I'm selfish, including that I'm a sellout, including that my work is stupid, including that I'm ugly. Like, you can think anything you want in your own mind without my interference, and it actually does not do anything to me. If you think that, it doesn't make me unsafe, because I am no longer a child and you are not my caregiver. You get to think whatever you want about me, and I actually am strong enough to endure the loss of a relationship. I am strong enough to endure being disappointed in you. A lot of codependence, like one of the worst things that we can let ourselves feel is disappointment in other people. We're really uncomfortable with that one. We would rather endure crushing internal defeat, disappointment in ourselves, but letting ourselves like really be disappointed in someone else versus constantly making excuses for why they get to behave that way and why their point of view makes sense and is justified and their hard childhood and stuff. Like, for us to just be like, damn, I'm disappointed in you is really hard for a lot of codependents to sit with. We have a really hard time with that one, right? So increasing our own capacity for grief, the grief of losing relationships, the grief of losing friendships, increasing our own capacity for disappointment. I'm really disappointed that you can't watch me succeed and be happy for me. Increasing our capacity for letting people walk out of our lives and trusting that we're going to be able to find other people versus believing that we can only be safe if we keep every relationship close. That's our work. And I know you can do inner work, because if you've already endured all of the consequences of all of your relationships your whole life, I know you've been in therapy, you've been in journaling, you've been in coaching, you've worked really, really hard. Because it is a lot of labor to stay in relationships where you are constantly trying to figure out how to make everything your fault so that you can stay in those relationships. I know you do inner work. So this is inner work you can do. And then leaving other people's work to them. Being like, you know what, if you have the kind of physiognomy where you are not capable of being happy for other people, where you feel the need to cut people down if they're successful, if they're shining, if you don't have the capacity to look at someone succeeding and not be jealous, that's your work. And I'm actually preventing you from doing your work because I don't want you to feel any negative feelings. I'm blocking you from your growth by stepping in the way and making sure you never experience discomfort, because discomfort is where we get the spark, the flint for growth. We need contrast to be spurred into, why does that make me uncomfortable? And some people will never do that work. But again, with boundaries, that's not your business. This type of inner work is the type of inner work that I do with my clients, and this goes real, real deep. I do this work through nervous system regulation and archetypal identity work. This is what I'm doing with my clients inside Powerhouse Mastermind. This is also why Powerhouse Mastermind is a year-long program, and it is very, very deep and intensive, because yes, we are doing business strategy work. You have to take the strategic actions to get yourself to the level that you want to get to. But we're going to have to confront all of the survival tactics that have gotten you this far. And this is a survival tactic, and it runs deep. Starting to make yourself sovereign and whole, right? Carving boundaries around your own body, mind, spirit, and saying, I get to do the things that I want to do, and I create safety for me, and I no longer outsource my safety into other people's bodies. I'm no longer trying to manage other people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to create safety for me. Is a deep inside job. It doesn't have to take forever. It doesn't have to be years and years and years of therapy, but it is not an instantaneous process, because it does require practice, and there will be wobbles, and you have to stabilize yourself into the identity of someone who can consistently take the kind of actions that will produce the life you want and not talk yourself out of them the second that you experience backlash, because you will. There's no way for you to do something big in the world and have nobody say anything negative about you. That's not possible. That's just the trade-off for you getting to live your dreams. Anyway, That's my thought. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions about this, hit me up. Also, if this is the kind of work that you're interested in and you know that this is what's blocking you from getting to the next level in your business, you should come to Scaling Simplified for Creative Baddie CEOs on May 12th at 10 a.m. PST. There will be a replay. It's only going to be open for 72 hours because I want you to actually watch it. And at that event, I will be opening the doors to Powerhouse Mastermind, my exclusive year-long mastermind for CEOs ready to scale to multi-6 and 7 figures. And I'm going to be giving away a bunch of fun bonuses at the event, so you should really be there live. Okay. Kayla, bye.
That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I know there are so many things that you could be doing with your day, so many things you could be listening to, and it means so much that you are here in this community. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment, share it on social media, and tag me at Intuitive Edge Coaching. Share it with a biz bestie who you think needs to hear it and will appreciate it. And take a moment to to subscribe, and to leave a 5-star review wherever you are listening. It helps me grow this show, and it helps us grow and sustain this brilliant community of entrepreneurs dedicated to doing the inner work. Thank you so much for being here. Kayla, bye.